Walk of Fame, which criticized some of Trump's predecessors. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Frank Billingsley. We'll also discuss health equity in Houston with Dr. Theresa Tran, director of the Houston Health Department.
And I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman, plus the Houston Ballet Artistic Director, Stanton Welch, and Jennifer Sommers, director of the Houston Ballet Academy, will tell us about this year's production of the Nutcracker.
And we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Remember, you can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. Today's the deadline for the Justice Department to release files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last month, President Trump signed a law ordering the records be released, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche tells Fox News they will only release a partial batch of the files today, hundreds of thousands of them, and more over the next couple of weeks. He says that's to give them more time to redact names and identifying information about the victims. NPR's Stephen Fowler has more on the files.
Hundreds of gigabytes of digital and physical evidence that the FBI has, grand jury files, and other things that have already been made public otherwise. It's also worth pointing out the law gives this deadline of 30 days after Trump signed it as a deadline, but there is no enforcement mechanism or penalties or consequences written into the law for this time not being met or any improper redaction of information.
NPR's Stephen Fowler reporting. Online video sharing app TikTok has reached a deal to sell its U.S. operations to a group of investors. That includes the big tech company Oracle, run by billionaire Larry Ellison, who is a longtime ally of President Trump. NPR's Bobby Allen reports.
After more than 5 years of intense debate, TikTok's U.S. operations have been sold to a consortium of investors. That group includes software and data center company Oracle, private equity firm Silver Lake, and MGC, an investment company backed by the United Arab Emirates. Under the terms of the deal, which were confirmed by NPR, current ByteDance investors will keep about a third of the entity, and Beijing-based ByteDance will hold a minority stake. Backers don't expect American users of TikTok to notice any major changes. China hawks in Washington have been worried about Beijing using TikTok to influence the political views of the 170 million Americans on the app. Yet, under the deal, ByteDance will still own the app's algorithm, with audits by the new American-led entity. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
And Oracle is a financial supporter of NPR. Existing home sales rose slightly last month. NPR's Scott Newman has more.
In its monthly report on existing home sales, the National Association of Realtors said in November home sales increased 0.5% for a seasonally adjusted rate of 4.13 million homes. Sales increased in the Northeast and South, but showed no change in the West and actually fell a bit in the Midwest. NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun said the increase in sales could be explained by lower mortgage rates, while a decrease in the number of unsold units was likely due to homeowners holding off listing their homes for sale during the winter. The NAR says the median home price in the U.S. is at just under $410,000. Scott Newman, NPR News, Washington.
And the home sales rose slightly from November, from the month before, October. You're listening to NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. Longtime Houston news anchor Dave Ward will be laid to rest today. Services are scheduled to begin at noon at St. Martin's Episcopal Church and are open to the public. Ward worked at ABC 13 for more than 50 years, earning him a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records for longest-serving anchor at the same station in the same market. He died last weekend at the age of 86. League City Council approved an ordinance earlier this week putting stricter regulations on boat owners at marinas. News 88.7's Juliana Washburn reports.
The new ordinance requires those who live on a boat at a marina for more than 10 consecutive days in a 30-day period to obtain a live-aboard permit. That permit allows the city to inspect the boat and requires the owner to document daily sanitation and maintenance activity aboard. Mayor Nick Long says these changes are meant to address safety and sanitation on the water.
We have to get control of it, and we have to do something to prevent open drug use, open drug markets, and murders, and just general falling down of safety and health standards.
But some feel like the stricter regulations will force people out of their homes. Emily Williams has lived on her boat for over 4 years now. She says her and her husband can't afford a house or apartment.
We are not criminals. We are not animals or filthy. We are civilized. We are Americans trying to pursue the American dream. Many families, possibly including ourselves, will be displaced.
The ordinance will go into effect in mid-January. From the Galveston County Bureau, I'm Juliana Washburn, News 88.7.
3 Houston area high schools are competing for state championships in football this weekend. Randall will play the Class 5A Division II title game against Dallas South Oak Cliff. That game will be Saturday at 11 a.m. North Shore will compete against Duncanville in the 6A Division I championship game right after that at 3 p.m. The day will conclude with C.E. King facing off against DeSoto in the Class 6A Division II championship game at 7 p.m. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from ARM, committed to delivering innovative, advanced computing designed to enable worldwide companies to unleash the capabilities and experiences of AI. The future of AI is built on ARM. ARM.com. This is NPR.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manouse, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
You know, I think that intro is the same every day, but today it sounded quieter. Or am I just so hyped up on sugar and caffeine?
Yeah. I know. Here we are, Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
End of the week.
Yeah.
The last weekend before Christmas.
Almost the end of fall. The winter
Almost.
solstice is Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
21st, yeah, at 9:03 in the morning, something like that.
Something like that. How's the weather? I found it a little cooler than I expected this morning.
It was cool. It's going to continue now to warm up. A high today of only 65. And then we get into the 70s for highs and the 60s for lows. And that goes all the way through Christmas. I know. Torchmas.
Torchmas.
You know what it
Merry
is?
Torchmas.
Sonnemus.
It's that Houston is so humid. Even when it's drier, it still feels more humid than
Well,
some of the
it never
colder
feels
parts.
like L.A. or
Right.
Palm Springs or something. Yeah, you're right.
And
There's
so
always
it-
a little humidity there.
So even though it might be in the 60s, I can't. That's that range where I can't get warm, but I also I'm hot.
It's
like I can't decide what my body thinks it is. What temperature is it?
Yeah, the problem is part of the problem is that the air conditioner doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're trying to sleep at night, you're not getting the heater come on, and you're not getting the air conditioning to come on. So you just start sweating about 3 in the morning. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not a fan either.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a very hot sleeper. I like it very warm in my bedroom. And I think it's not good for sleep. But like first thing I do when I go to a hotel, I think I've mentioned this before, I turn up the heat to like 78 and I put a comforter on the bed.
Ernie, that is the most.
So
that is
okay.
definitely now the cool kids. Unpopular opinion here. I mean, that is the opposite of everything I've ever heard. People like to keep it very cold.
No.
And they want a fan on, even if it's freezing
me.
outside. That's more like.
Oh, and I don't
me.
like a fan. I don't like air blowing on me when I'm sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
All right, now that we've learned one more odd fact about Ernie, we need a theme for Ernie's odd facts each time. Anyway, we've got a really exciting show for us today. We've got some really interesting areas. I'm excited, as you mentioned, Nutcracker is something you
The
guys
Nutcracker
love doing.
Ballet.
And not only are we going to talk about Nutcracker, but they also do sensory performances so that people with different needs, differently abled folks can enjoy the presentation, and we'll learn all about how they do that.
I love that because they're including families that would otherwise not be able to have a holiday tradition with their kids.
Or
something
somebody in the
that
family would feel not
left
connected.
out.
Yeah.
Left out. Think about that. One other thing that we're going to be hearing today is your interview, Ernie, with Rob Reiner. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, back in 2010, he had released a movie called Flipped. And so he was out doing interviews. Frank mentioned he's seen a lot of interviews of Rob Reiner from 2010.
Yeah, I
think
wondered
that's
if he was out promoting something, and you said it was that movie.
Yeah, and we had an opportunity to sit down and talk. The full interview is on YouTube if you want to go and watch it, but we're going to air a portion of it today on the show. And it doesn't really address issues of what happened, obviously, but it gives you insight into who this person was and what he did and what he accomplished. And the funny part about it is he was kind of nervous because he was used to doing the short form interviews on these junkets, 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I roll in for half an hour. And he's like, he got real nervous and didn't know if he'd be able to talk for it. And it's not in it, but at the very end, he was like, wow, that wasn't painful at all.
Right. Well, Ernie, it's interesting because you have interviewed a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
And, right now we're looking at Rob Reiner from a family perspective and what was happening, and we're trying to, understand what was going on that led up to this tragedy.
Yeah.
How often do you find that after you've interviewed a celebrity that who they are off camera matches who they are on camera?
There is an essence of people, I think. And when somebody is truly successful at what they do, they draw on that essence.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like a Meryl Streep. She's going to be completely different role to role.
Of course.
But there's something Meryl Streepish about her that you find when you meet these people. There's, we've talked on and off at times about Patti LuPone. There's a certain presence when you're in her presence that you see in her work and you see in her as a person. Rob Reiner, there's a sensitivity and an understanding of the human condition that he seems to exude when you meet him that you also see in his work. So even if the work doesn't match them, that essence, I think, is the best way to put it.
Without a doubt.
But that's not what we're here for today.
I am very much looking forward to that.
We are here for a lot of other things. We're going to talk about health in Houston and what's available. They're talking about premiums going way up, but we have a city health department that's working to make sure there's equity in healthcare across the board, and we're going to be talking about that too. But there's a lot also on the national level, and we've been watching that this week. Celeste, lead us off.
Thank you, Ernie. The Trump White House has added new plaques beneath the portraits in the Presidential Walk of Fame, a gallery honoring America's presidents. The plaques criticize some of President Donald Trump's Democratic predecessors, echoing his long-standing rhetoric. One calls former President Biden the worst president in American history, while another describes former President Barack Obama as one of the most divisive political figures in American history. This follows an earlier change in which Biden's portrait was replaced with an image of an auto pen. Trump has frequently criticized the uses of auto pens, a device presidents of both parties have long used, claiming President Biden's signature was placed on documents without his authorization. President Trump has said he intends to repeal any of Biden-era actions signed using the auto pen. Do you think these plaques need to come down, or is it President Trump's right, since he is the sitting president within the White House? Now is the time to join us at 713-440-8870.
I'm going to start this off with, I'm angry. And I don't usually get this worked up over stuff. This one angers me beyond belief. It is rude, disrespectful, inappropriate, opens a terrible possible tradition of presidents just changing how they want to but on the other hand, I don't think any other president would have done this, and I don't think any president in the future, God willing, would do something like this. I think it's just beneath us all as people. It's the people's house. It's rude and insulting to these people who have served our country at the highest level.
Glad to see you angry.
Yeah, I have an opinion. There you go.
There you
I
go.
like angry.
When I become president and they say, President Billingsley, what's the first thing you're going to do as president? I'm going to say, redecorate. Yeah. I'm getting rid of that ballroom, all that gold. I'm fixing this hallway. There's so much that has become, talk about the Trump Kennedy Center. Oh my God. No, it is so petty.
Yeah,
it's beyond belief. I don't know if you read any of the plaques.
Yes.
But it's just, the one hope was that it did say that Obama was the first black president, indicating, hopefully, we can have another. It didn't disparage that part of the Obama plaque, which is kind of surprised me.
I think a lot of people, though, that really, like President Trump and like what he's doing would say, oh, come on, it's not that big of a deal. Don't take this so seriously. Wouldn't you want to put anything up within your house? I think there is that sentiment.
And look at the plaque. It's not just like a piece of paper. It is an engraved plaque. I mean, it's like the kind you see at war monuments. It's a plaque, and it's.
I don't have a problem with a person having a wink eye kind of poking fun at things. I have problems when it's the President of the United States placing a metal plaque, an engraved metal plaque on a wall, disparaging the predecessors. There should still be respect for the office. You may not like who's elected in from time to time, but you have to respect the position. And up until this point, as well as I remember, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me here, presidents showed respect to those that came before them. They didn't have to like them. They fought them often in campaigns, but the office of the president puts someone in a position to at least be respected.
I honestly don't know what the plaques looked like before the change.
They didn't have them before they put this up.
Because this says new plaques. They're not new plaques. They are plaques that were never there.
From my perspective, when I look at the plaques, I ask myself, where has political civility gone?
Thank you.
And what are we teaching the next generation? And where and how can we as a nation get back to a place where we can all find that this is disrespectful?
Yeah.
Again, 713-440-8870. We are speaking about President Trump White House has added new plaques beneath the portraits in the Presidential Walk of Fame. Joining us now is Joseph from Tomball. Joseph, welcome to Hello Houston.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
The first word that comes to my mind when I see or hear this situation is bullying. I think President Trump was one of those biggest bullies in the school and the high school and university and wherever places go. And he is doing it from the White House widely to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're an American or you are an outsider. He's bullying everybody that he can find. And that plaque was not supposed to be there because we have to preserve history, right? And 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, those teachers in the university going to go back to this presidency and see this is what they're going to teach. Donald Trump bullying everybody. And it's not right for historians. It's not right for our children because I want my son to one day think as he's president of this country. But it's not going to happen because see what he's looking at. And I don't want that for him. Thank you.
Joseph, thank you
Thanks,
for
Joseph.
calling. Yeah, it's just, you can have, and even in the past, you didn't criticize the past president. You may, on the campaign trail, you would, but once you got in office, you kind of.
Well, the criticism came from the American people, which is why you won.
But
I mean, that was enough.
Right.
But now you don't. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. If you disagree, if you think that these plaques are appropriate and that Trump should point out these things, which, as I understand,
which are lies.
He dictated himself. I can't imagine he wrote them, but it was his messaging he wanted under each of these pictures. Let us hear from you. We want to hear if you're in favor of this.
713-440-8870. Let's go to James from the Woodlands. James, welcome to Hello Houston.
Yes. Hello again, and Merry Christmas to everyone and your listeners. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've only served 3 years. I have an honorable discharge. I worked a live mission and intelligence, and I'm very proud of this. And this is why I called today. I didn't serve in my country and possibly put my life on line for a president to have the right to behave this way. This is beneath the dignity of the office of the President of the United States. And so, and then I said I would ask you a question. I'll hang up and listen. What right does, I mean, is there a law? Is there a precedent? What gives him the right to defame these portraits and behave in that manner. And I'll listen.
Okay, I want to ask you a question if you're still on. Given what you know now, would you sign up to be in the Army again?
Oh, I will serve my country without question.
Despite the
without
president.
question. Despite the president, I would give my life for my country, for the freedoms that we have. It is beyond any person, any office, any president. It's called being an American.
Right.
James, thank you so much. This really, and I have to say, James, you encapsulate what this whole season is about. And it's about giving and taking care of your own country. And we truly appreciate that. And I wish there were more folks like you out there. There are lots, and we should recognize all of them. But thank you very much for that.
But I think to answer your question, because of the Constitution, the president's the head of state. It's his house when he's in it. Maybe the people's house, but the truth is somebody's in charge of how they want to decorate, what they want to do. Do they want to put up Christmas trees? Do they want to have the rainbow colors for Gay Pride and have the White House in the rainbow colors? They get to make those decisions about whether the Rose Garden stays or goes. Do we have a bowling alley? Do we put a swimming pool in? It's up to him.
I
So if
don't
he wants
know
to
if
do
that's
this, he
100%
certainly can.
accurate. I think that there is the National Trust, I think, has to,
Yes.
any kind of structural changes to
There
the
are
home has to go
committees
through.
Well,
within
where
a
are they?
long-standing
Well, they're
organization.
suing.
Well,
They're
let's
suing
see if
the
they
president
win.
currently. But
Going back to James's comments, I think James brings up one of the things that he said that really stuck out to me was, where is the dignity?
yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that is the word that I think we need to continue to going back to. Where is the dignity within this? And respect and honor. And there is a certain level where, again, as a parent, when I look at my kids, I want them to have this level of almost saying, wow, that is where I want to be.
But those adjectives and the word authoritarianism don't go together. What authoritarian, what dictator do you know that has respect and dignity for others? I mean, that's just not part of the MO.
713-440-8870. We're interested in your thoughts on this topic. Let's go to Marisol from Southeast Houston. Marisol, what's on your mind?
Thank you. And James, I appreciate your service to our country. I can say that the current occupant of the White House is basically the Regina George of current politics, right?
Regina George.
Yes, from Mean Girls.
From Mean Girls.
Remember the burn book?
Yep.
That's what he has done. And all of the words that were just mentioned, dignity, respect, it's gone out the window, right? When we think about the fact that this is a person that campaigned by making fun of a person's disability, by speaking about women in a degrading manner and what he can do to them because of his celebrity status. He's just being true to form. I don't even know why people are surprised anymore by what this current occupant of the White House does. And what's sad is that the very people that support him, that have been talking about, oh, this is your president and you have to respect him even if you didn't vote for him and, so on and so forth, they excuse this behavior.
Mm-hmm. Well, you look what he said about the Reiners 2 days ago. I mean, it's just he has no compassion or empathy for the average American person that I can see.
But I don't know if people want a leader that is compassionate and kind, and they want to see somebody. I mean, America voted for
President
him.
Obama was both. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he had every compassion and every understanding, and there are a lot of good men and women out there that do.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to find them, and we're going to elect them.
Thank you for calling. Let's grab Stephen from Katy. Stephen, what's on your mind? You there, Stephen? Let's go on to Philip from Rosenberg. Philip, are you there?
Yeah, and thank you very much, for this particular topic that you guys have brought today. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I came from outside. But a lot of us who came attracted to the American way of life and the American democracy, we are baffled and confused. Because the point is that we have President Trump, and to be honest with you, I used to like him. I'm a Christian. And not only a Christian, but I'm a pastor. I feel so disappointed with the way he's conducting himself. He is very much an unusual president in the United States. Because, imagine the level of pettiness and everything. But I don't really have much of a problem, and I did not have much of an expectation of him. I am just worried about the group of Americans who feel that everything that this president is doing, they sign on to it. They are okay with it. Whether they are in Congress or they are out there, they don't see any problem with it. If I can talk about cultural shock, it was not the one that I had when I came to this country. I am really confused now, but because this is like what people say, un-American. You know, I mean, there is so much pettiness, there is so much lack of dignity, there is no. So as a Christian, I just want to appeal to President Trump. He can be much better if he gets rid of all of this pettiness and focus on trying to unify the American people. And even those that are supporting him, they should understand that they are creating a culture and an environment that will never be good for America.
Philip, thank you
Philip.
for that. It's a good point. And I do want to clarify, too, we're not saying you can't have opinions. Donald Trump can have opinions about all of his predecessors. Putting them on plaques under their portraits in the White House, that's where I'm concerned.
Patty.
Again, 713-440-8870. You're listening to Hello Houston. Let's go to Juan from Houston. Juan, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question?
Hi, yes. My comment is this. One, he is the president of the United States. He is a resident of that White House, and he could do whatever he wants inside the White House. The question is it the right thing to do as a president of the United States? I think that's what we have to ask ourselves. As a president, you know, talking bad about other presidents, that's not what we expect from our president, the leading president of the United States.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think that we're in agreement when you live in a home, you can decorate your house as you want. If he wants to put those up, it's the idea that there's a presidential walk of fame there at the White House overlooking what was the Rose Garden. I do believe it's that promenade between the White House and the Oval Office where people come in and see that. It's not a private thing that they have. It's on, and not public display, but it's on display. And that's, I think, what rubs me.
And I do want to push back a little bit on, it's the president and the White House is a house and he's moving into it. It's a historical place. Sure. I mean, it is. There are historical places, houses here in Houston that you can't just paint any color you want.
That's a good point.
Also is historical preservation groups that make sure you go to Galveston and there are requirements and things that you can't just blow out walls. I mean, this is the White House of the United States of America. This is not just a resident. If he can buy a house in D.C. if he really feels like he needs to redecorate. But that's just my
Juan,
personal
thank you for calling and sharing your point of view. And thanks to everyone who participated in the conversation. Remember, you can always share your point of view. 713-440-8870.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to talk with Dr. Theresa Tran, the director of Houston Health Department, about health equity in Houston. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Lenny Ambrose from St. Arnold Brewing Company, proud supporters of Houston Public Media. Right now, with your $60 donation, you can choose tickets to News and Brews. This member-exclusive event takes place February 17th. Enjoy a pint, connect with fellow NPR fans, and meet the Houston Public Media newsroom in person. Select News and Brews tickets when you donate at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Shapes the stories we'll tell tomorrow. From local news to weather alerts and the reports that keep our community connected, every story you hear depends on listeners like you. As the year ends, your tax-deductible gift ensures Houston Public Media can start 2026 ready to serve all of Greater Houston. Make your impact today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. Help keep local news and trusted reporting strong in Houston.
So, where are you? Here at Radio Lab. We go places.
Riding in an elevator.
From her bathroom.
We're walking through shin-length grass.
Are we on a boat?
No, but we're gonna be.
In Namibia.
On Mars.
In my closet.
Poughkeepsie, New York.
To
Kolkata. Inside the womb.
Wow. And
everywhere.
You guys are doing lobster.
Radio Lab, Saturdays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from arbitrator, mediator, and attorney Sylvia Mayer, providing in-person and video conference arbitration and mediation services. More information available at smayerlaw.com. Support comes from GenPro, a Houston-based home generator service providing power to homes during unexpected outages. More information at genpro.com or by calling 713-597-3521.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manouse, Celeste Diaz Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
For many Houstonians, staying healthy isn't just about seeing a doctor. It's tied to where you live, how much you earn, and the stability of your day-to-day life. From rising costs and extreme weather to gaps in coverage and care, access to health care remains uneven across our city. Today, we're looking at what those disparities mean for real people in Houston, what's being done to close the gaps, and what practical changes could make health care more accessible and equitable. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Theresa Tran, Director of the Houston Health Department. Dr. Tran, welcome to Hello Houston. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And if you would like to join the conversation, you can give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870.
So there's a lot of partners that you all have that I wasn't really aware of. Tell us a little bit more about the health department and your outreach.
Oh my gosh, how many hours do you have?
It is a lot. It is a lot, but you really do get out in the community.
We really, really do. And, something that I think that people don't realize is that public health is part of public safety. And it is just such a foregone conclusion that we exist. Right? And until things like COVID or pandemics or funding crises rear their issues, we don't really get the recognition that I think that we need. And so we span the spectrum from keeping Houston safe and healthy through food inspections, apartment compliance inspections, fat, oil, and grease, that's the sewage inspections to keep the environment healthy, air quality inspections, pool inspections in the city of Houston, to laboratory services. We have the reference laboratory for the entire public health region 6-5 South, and we're a reference laboratory for a lot of the diseases and communicable diseases and emerging diseases as well. We do actual clinical services. We have bureaus of STI and HIV prevention, tuberculosis. HIV and STDs disproportionately affect Black and Latino communities, as well as the LGBTQ communities. Tuberculosis disproportionately affects our immigrant communities. We have family services, so we run WIC, which is the Women, Infant, and Children's Program. We have the Area Agency on Aging. We do a lot of the data analytics and surveillance for the city of Houston and surrounding area. That is making sure that that diseases and emerging diseases or trends and patterns, whether they show up in our wastewater or they show up in our clinical settings, that we're able to get on top of that. We do a lot of chronic disease work. We work with community partners. We bring down federal grant funding into the area that we share with community-based organizations. We're just all over the place.
And you still found time to come in here today. It's amazing.
Thank you.
When I say we, it's because we have a wonderfully dedicated, hardworking team that really supports the city.
Now, you have clinics around the city, too. And I'm curious, when you look at different areas, different regions of just the area that you look over in our city, there are disparities there. How do you work within your own clinics to try and even that out so everyone is getting the same health care? Because I would assume there are some communities that need more than others. And how do you balance that?
So we are, I want to make something clear. We are what I would consider the safety net of the safety net. The safety net primary care clinics tend to be federally qualified health centers, or FQHCs, as you may hear them. So we work very closely in referring people to medical homes. What we do is the prevention and epidemiology type services. Our clinics are for family planning, STI, and HIV prevention. And we're getting into the treatment space as well. And tuberculosis. These are services that are reportable diseases that are that we are given state and federal dollars to do. But when it comes to actual health delivery services in general, we refer out and we really rely on our community partners to be our partners.
But when we talk about HIV, though, there is disproportionate positive results happening in certain communities that don't mirror what's happening across the whole city.
Correct.
Well, do you work in conjunction with Harris Health?
So we do, and we are working even more with them in coming projects.
So, but we always talk here about the county and the city because we have
Oh,
commissioners on, and then we have city council people on. I tell you, it's mind-boggling in this county how the lines get drawn. So, how do your lines get drawn between Harris Health and the city of Houston?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And something I didn't even mention was that we do vital statistics, and a problem with having different jurisdictions in the same region is that people do get confused.
Sure.
And so the city of Houston, which is inside of this, what's the city of Houston, not unincorporated Houston, belongs to the Houston Health Department's jurisdiction. Then there's Harris County Public Health, who are our partners that take care of and do very similar services or the same services in the areas outside of the city of Houston proper. Harris Health is the hospital district that does the healthcare delivery services that was created through the county, but they serve all of Houston and Harris County. And so isn't it confusing? If I could create my perfect world, we would all be one entity.
Yes. So, something that I find very interesting is the Basics Houston. And it's a program that educates any parent with any background about how to connect with their baby. And most people would be thinking and sitting there thinking, what do you mean? But you truly work, I would say, at not just, we think this is the problem we're identifying, but finding solutions. And that is huge. Talk to us about that program because that really stood out to me.
Yeah, the Basics is one of our programs, and we're supported heavily through the Houston Health Foundation, which I'm going to put in a plug there. Like I said, we are very, very heavily grant funded, but what we need is more community support when it comes to programs like that. But that's you summed up the basics very well. We know that whether it's in education or in health, giving children a healthy foundation leads to this incredible evidence-based trajectory of success later on in life. And sometimes even, and as a new parent myself, you just don't know what you don't know, and you need a hand to hold you and kind of walk you through that journey. And so that's what the Basics is, whether it's early childhood immunizations or helping with the breastfeeding journey or just basic childcare and those questions that new parents have. That's what we're here for, and we are available to anyone and everyone.
And I have one more question or thought on that is also y'all do eye exams, free eye exams for children, and that is incredible.
So important.
And so important.
Absolutely. Our See to Succeed program is for eyes, and then our Project Saving Smiles program is for teeth. These are two services that are not covered generally under insurance. And given that 25% of Houstonian children live at or under the federal poverty level, we know that this is a big gap and a need. So our See to Succeed program, which delivers free eyeglasses to children who have not been able to get in with an optometrist or ophthalmologist through regular means, has helped over 100,000 students.
Incredible.
What we see is that so we get them as referrals through their nurse programs at school. So we absolutely encourage school districts and schools to get involved. We bring them into our clinics. Our volunteers manage the whole thing, but they are given eye exams, they are given free glasses, and we also connect them with other services that they need. what we see is these students end up doing better in school. Their behavioral issues go away, and their confidence increases, and their just ability to function
And
increases.
you're taking a huge burden off of a parent as well. That is trying to figure out, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to get my child to this exam? I mean, it is a holistic approach to a real issue.
And on top of it, the fact that oftentimes these learning disabilities are as simple as the child can't see. And
Right,
they're
and they're
unaware
so they
of
get bored.
that.
I mean,
you
why
know?
don't the two of you walk around without your glasses for a day and see how difficult
Or
and
drive.
frustrating it is?
Or
I ended up
drive.
here. Or drive, right?
Driving at night would be a major challenge.
Yeah.
Speaking of children, though, kids that are on the spectrum, do you reach out to those, or do you guide parents somewhere else?
We really partner with people who really do that work more. So we don't have our own IDD services within the health department, but we work very closely with the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD. And certainly I'm part of I've spoken with advocacy groups with children on the spectrum, or with adults on the spectrum, actually. And that is in line with us trying to serve the people who really don't have a voice and can't speak and help themselves. We're here, like I said, as the safety net of the safety net.
And then what about addiction issues?
Yeah, so
whether drug, alcohol, whatever it might be.
We do have some programming for substance use disorder. That is what we're working on, and what we have not done well enough in the Houston region is braid the services for homelessness response and for substance use and mental disorder with Mayor John Whitmire's initiative on ending street homelessness. Because these issues are so interrelated, we as a department have found that this is part of our calling as a department as well. And so we are working more closely on that.
I believe we have a phone call for you. If you'd like to join the conversation, 713-440-8870. We're talking with Dr. Theresa Tran, Director of the Houston Health Department, and we have Raymond on the line from Crosby. Hi, Raymond. What's up?
I just had a quick question. The decisions being made by the Health and Human Resources and CDC, is that going to impact Texas and Houston in particular, hindering the programs that you got going? And anyway, I'll listen.
Yeah, Raymond, thank you for that call. What's going on in Washington?
Yeah, a lot of whooping cough out there, a lot of measles out there.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And it is certainly an issue that we all see and feel and hear. I will tell you that Mayor John Whitmire has done a great job of protecting the funding for public health that is coming into the state and into our region specifically. I say that on the basis of having connection with the health directors and commissioners of cities all across the country. And one big fear is that funding gets cut based on something that's said politically by an elected official. What we have, we just haven't really suffered that harm, and in fact have been allocated dollars that might otherwise go somewhere else. And it's something that, as a public health director, gives me a little bit more ease in doing my work. And I have a lot of autonomy in using the science and the data and what we believe within the medical community to be what's going to be best for the public's health and population health. And as far as the funding is concerned, there is a global funding crisis. We have not been spared of that. But as far as being harmed even more than that and not being able to operate anymore, we have not been affected. If you're referring to our reentry program, Raymond, is that something that you're concerned about?
I think he's probably off the line now.
Oh, sorry. We do have a community reentry network program where we help incarcerated individuals stay out of the prison system and reduce the recidivism rate and help with gainful employment and giving them the tools to succeed in society.
A lot of work.
That program is not going anywhere.
Dr. Tran, you are pretty fresh in this role. How has that felt to take on this type of role at this level?
It's exciting, and I have such a wonderful team behind me that has been allowing me to grow and learn and bring my perspective I'm an ER doc by trade, and to bring that perspective in. It's been great. I think that this is I get to finally do the things that I've been passionate about. One of the things in healthcare delivery that we just always wish was that, wish the whole system could come together. We wish we could collaborate more. And with my role, I think anyone can tell you that we're collaborating.
Well, you should watch
Yes.
The Pit with Noah Wiley if you haven't.
I do. And it's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's my new obsession.
Well, we are very lucky to have you at the Houston Health Department. Dr. Theresa Tran is the director of the Houston Health Department. Thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Coming up, we're going to take a behind the scenes of the Nutcracker. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
The healthcare fight in Congress has reached another standstill. Congress is preparing to leave Capitol Hill without a resolution to expiring Obamacare tax credits. This has driven a wedge between some Republican members and leadership. We'll talk about whether the battle over healthcare costs is loosening GOP leaders' control of the party. I'm David Green. Join Mo Alathe, Mike Dupke, and me for the next Left, Right, and Center.
You can hear that Sunday night at 5. Support comes from Discovery Green Conservancy, presenting Houston's outdoor ice skating rink, offering a wintertime experience for all, surrounded by public art and downtown views. Open through February 16th. More at discoverygreen.com. Support comes from the Moody Center for the Arts, hosting Art Lab, where guests can create zip tie sculptures inspired by biomorph. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. December 16th through the 20th. More at moody.rice.edu.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Baylor College of Medicine. With 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress in health and medicine through research, education, and care that push the frontiers of modern science.
Support comes from Houston Habitat for Humanity, celebrating the season by creating affordable home ownership opportunities. Together, we build stability. Learn how you can make a difference at houstonhabitat.org/NPR.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manouse, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
All right, Houston Ballet's The Nutcracker is a longstanding Houston holiday tradition. It's captured audiences with its music, its dance. It's just a huge spectacle. Now more than 50 years. Over those years, the company has staged 4 reimaginings of this classic with its current iteration by artistic director Stanton Welch. Now in its 9th year, it's known, of course, for lavish sets, dazzling costumes, pretty good music, with a fresh perspective on the material. To tell us more about this year's The Nutcracker, please welcome Artistic Director at Houston Ballet, Stanton Welch, and Jennifer Sommers, Director of the Houston Ballet Academy. Stanton, Jennifer, we're glad you're here. If anyone wants to join the conversation, call or text us at 713-440-8870. It seems like, I know when I was working at Channel 2, we started advertising The Nutcracker in July. So
accurate.
Yes, very accurate.
Feels like we never stop it, actually.
So it must just be standing room only almost every night.
Well, we have capacity. If you want to come to the shows, we certainly can fit you in.
Thank you.
But it is a very well sold program. It's certainly for us in ballet one of it's our Marvel, Avengers movie for ballet kind of setup.
Yeah.
What's the magic? What's the draw every year? It just never gets old.
Yeah, I think it's a whole bunch of things. I think certainly the music is one of the most extraordinary pieces of classical music ever written.
Sure.
And even though it's saturated for us right now, we hear it everywhere, when you really feel it played by an orchestra, it's overwhelming. It's very emotional. And the story is lovely and charming and kind of like, I always watch the same Christmas movies every Christmas, even though I've watched them for my whole life. It's that kind of reoccurrence. And what I personally love about it, because it's only really North America that has Nutcracker like this, that it's family. It's like the beginning of the holiday season. And I love being a part of someone's tradition, that you can be there with your grandparents, your parents, your children, your grandchildren. I mean, how so few things are like that anymore, where you put your phone down and you come and you experience the thing with your family. I think I love that.
And something
And
that
I think Stanton's.
Sorry, go ahead, Jennifer,
sorry.
please.
I was
No,
going
no.
to say Stanton's production is so marvelous. It's funny, I was going to use the word marvelous, but I think you can see something different every time you come. There's intricacies that connect Act 1 to Act 2 that are just so fun. It's almost like a Where's Waldo adventure in the second act. And I think that it just keeps people coming back. They see something new every time they come, which is really extraordinary.
What's interesting here, and we mentioned this in the opening, is that this is Stanton's production, that this was your version of Nutcracker. And it started off 9 years ago, and it went on quite a journey to get to the point it is today. We've talked about in the past. But what I'm interested in is so many people are familiar with it. So many people had seen previous productions of it. When you sit down to reinterpret a classic, I'm curious how difficult that is, because there are things that have to be there for certain members of the audience, and they're not going to give you any slack if it's not the way they want it.
Some of it's magic that has to happen.
Fairy.
Yeah, how free are you, and how did you come up with this huge production of it?
Well, it took a lot of research. I certainly went around and saw as many versions of Nutcracker, and I'm pretty old, so I mean, I've seen quite a few of them.
If you're old, I'd hate to think what I am.
I pretty much had an idea of a version for many years, and I felt I really used Disney as an example or Pixar, of smart storytelling on two levels, that you have what are there for adults and something that you find, and then there's also the level for children, and how much fun it is to make all those pathways. And as Jen mentioned, knowing something is going to be seen like 100 times is very different from a ballet that they see once. So you want the intricacies and the story details to be really thorough and stretch all the way through in different directions. So you see it for the 50th time, and as Jen said, you see the first time the tears come out of the sugar plum doll, or that there's a little fairy on the top of the elephant that's telling it to drive. Like, there are many things in it to see that connect. So that was really exciting. It was kind of like writing your own Lord of the Rings in a way, like the history and the lore.
Yeah.
And also, I think one of my favorite parts of Nutcracker season is attending our student matinees. And I always text Stanton, because the kids totally get all the jokes. So he has what he's created for kids, they get and they love.
Right. And
and then the adults laugh at the adult jokes too.
Yes. Stanton, you talked about how the Nutcracker Ballet is such a family-friendly ballet, that you really can take everybody to see it, and it is something for everyone. And it makes me think about your sensory-friendly performance, because there are families who have children that are on the spectrum, that have children that do have sensory issues, that are neurodivergent. And so to be able to include them in this family tradition is so impressive, that y'all do that every year. Talk to me a little bit about that, Jennifer.
Sure. I mean, we've been doing sensory-friendly performances for over 10 years now here at the Margaret Alcock Williams Center for Dance. This year was the first year we did one in the Wortham. So we're really lucky that we had sort of 10 years of dress rehearsal of what works for family members with neurological differences. And from the day we started doing this, the most feedback we got was, it is so nice to have something that we can do together as a whole family. We don't divide and have some family members go this way and do an event and some families go that way. And it really, that's what we experienced on November 28th this year, is that people felt like they could come with their whole family, they could experience the ballet and react oral with words, with physical reactions. They could move freely as they needed to, and they could really truly experience Stanton's Nutcracker the way they wanted to. And to be truthful, we didn't change very much. They got to see the full production with the full company, with all the special effects, with the full orchestra. It was really just that they could act as audience members in a way that felt comfortable to them, and they were welcome to do that.
I do have a question about the cast. Do you have the old timers that come back every year, or do you have fresh cast every year?
The company is on a contract, so they're all the same people all the time, kind of like the Alley Theatre. The same group of dancers return to it every year. And of course, they escalate in some roles or change the roles that they're in to some capacity. And the children are fresh every year in a way, but they move up grade by grade by grade. So in designing this Nutcracker, we made sure that there were work or character roles for every single level within the school. So you start off as an angel or a medic mice, and then you become a bumblebee, and then you become a snake charmer, and then you become... So new material, but they've been aspiring to get to do it by watching their older kids, that history of passing it on. And we have company members now who are doing lead roles in the ballet that started in the school and have done all those school roles and now into the company roles. That's part of the thrill of ballet, I think, like that. It's very unique. So a lot of same faces every year.
And I think that's fun for the dancers and for the students, certainly in the academy, is to return to it every year, and they see that progress themselves. You know, it's fun for us as audience members, and certainly for me as Academy Director, to think, oh my gosh, that person's an infantry this year. I remember when they were a mouse medic, but it's also for them. It's a way to measure themselves year over year, I think, too.
Yeah. It's also one of those funny things where we're sitting around talking about fairy dust and mice medics, and the frog's legs aren't over there on time, and you realize how weird our job is, and often our language is saying some pretty bizarre things.
Well, I will say you two look pretty rested, but I live next door. I've mentioned this before on the show to Harper Waters, and he basically in November says, see you in January. So it is a heavy lift to do this, isn't it?
Yeah, we start our 2 shows a day today, and that's now it until all the way after Christmas. So we start off with just the Friday and the 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and it gradually each week increases. And as of today, we're at the 2 shows a day all the way through. So
when all's said and done, how many productions do you do in a season of this?
40.
40.
40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Stanton Welch is the artistic director at Houston Ballet. Jennifer Sommers is the director of the Houston Ballet Academy. Thank you both for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank
you for having us.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. The Nutcracker is running now through December 28th. For more information, visit houstonballet.org. Coming up, we're going to continue diving into today's top stories. We're also going to take a look back at Ernie's conversation with filmmaker Rob Reiner for his award-winning series, InnerVIEWS. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manouse, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston System, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
It's 11:59. This is News 88.7. I'm Tom Carter. We're looking at a sunny day today with the high getting up to near 64. And then for tonight, mostly clear, a low around 50. Looking ahead for tomorrow, we'll have a sunny Saturday with a high near 77. And then some fog Sunday morning with a high on Sunday near 78. It's 61. This is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, President Trump has signed an executive order reclassifying marijuana, making it easier to be used in medical research. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
And I'm Ernie Manouse. We'll also pay tribute to the legendary actor and director Rob Reiner as we revisit my 2010 interview with Reiner.
And I'm Frank Billingsley. Plus, we'll also share a list of holiday-themed events happening this weekend in Houston for our regular Friday feature, Last Minute Plans.
Also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. President Trump is set to speak in Rocky Mount, North Carolina tonight. He's working to overcome voters' gloomy views of the U.S. economy. From the North Carolina newsroom, Adam Wagner has more.
Rocky Mount is the largest city in North Carolina's newly redrawn 1st Congressional District. There will be a 5-way Republican primary there, with the party seeking to defeat two-term Democrat Don Davis, even as the state's Republican-controlled legislature redrew the district to give the GOP an advantage. Jonathan Sutton owns a barbershop near the venue where Trump will speak. Sutton, a Democrat, says he's noticed a decidedly negative sentiment among friends and clients.
Just dealing with people kind of just sad and don't know what's going on, not sure their future.
An NPR PBS Marist poll found that only 36% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of the economy. For NPR News, I'm Adam Wagner in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
The investigation into the motive in the shooting at Brown University that left 2 people dead and several other injured continues. The suspect, 48-year-old Claudio Valente, was found dead in a storage unit in New Hampshire last night. Authorities say he took his own life, and they believe he acted alone. He's also suspected of shooting and killing an MIT professor in Massachusetts. Valente was a former Brown student and a Portuguese national. There's relief in Ukraine after the EU approved loaning the country more than $100 billion over the next 2 years. NPR's Joanna Kakissis reports the loan is backed by the EU's own budget instead of frozen Russian central bank assets.
EU leaders failed to agree on using these immobilized Russian assets as collateral for a loan to Ukraine, fearing legal retribution from the Kremlin. Though the loan backed by the EU budget could be more costly, European leaders celebrated it as a win. So did Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who says it shows Russia that Kyiv has strong support from its allies. The loan will cover 2/3 of Ukraine's financial and military needs over the next 2 years. Without the loan, Zelensky had warned that Ukraine would have to drastically cut its domestic drone production, leaving the country more vulnerable to Russian attacks. Joanna Kakissis, NPR News, Kyiv.
Federal transportation investigators are combing through the wreckage of a business jet that crashed yesterday in North Carolina, killing all 7 people on board, including retired NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family. The Cessna C-550 burst into flames when it hit the ground. Authorities say it left Statesville Regional Airport, about 45 miles from Charlotte, but crashed when it was trying to return and land. It's not clear if Biffle was piloting the plane at the time it went down. There's no word on the cause of the crash. You're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. A $3 million bond has been set for the 18-year-old student charged in the stabbing death of a 16-year-old classmate Wednesday at a high school in Baytown. Andre Matthews faces murder charges for allegedly stabbing Andrew Meismer during a fight at the Ross S. Sterling High School. Meismer was taken to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. The two leading Texas Democratic candidates for the U.S. Senate made campaign swings through Houston this week. News 88.7 political reporter Andrew Schneider takes a look at how each candidate is making the pitch that they're the one who can be the Republican nominee in November's general election.
Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett visited Houston on Sunday. She's focused on mobilizing people who typically don't vote.
I absolutely plan to focus on people that have not been involved in the process. That is for sure. The people that have felt like no one has ever been talking to them and no one has ever looked out for them.
Austin State Representative James Tallarico, who visited on Wednesday, says the key is winning crossover voters.
I have a track record of winning races like this in difficult right-leaning environments like Williamson County, Texas. And if I can do it there, I think I can do it statewide.
No Democrat has won statewide office in Texas in more than 30 years. I'm Andrew Schneider, News 88.7.
Texas could face a worsening nurse shortage under a plan by the Trump administration to classify nurses as non-professionals. That means nursing students can only borrow just over $20,000 in a year in federal loans with a $100,000 lifetime cap. Jack Frazee of the Texas Nurses Association says the caps will hit advanced practice programs hardest, affecting nurse practitioners and faculty needed to train future nurses.
Currently in Texas, we have a shortage of about 45,000 nurses to meet the demand that we have. If you're worried about potentially longer waits for care or delayed care, solving the nursing shortage is a really important part of preventing that from happening.
The proposed rules impacting nursing will be discussed in January with a public comment period before any policy changes are made. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance, where drivers can compare direct rates using Progressive's rate comparison tool. Customers can see options and rates side by side. More at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manouse, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Welcome back to the second hour of Hello Houston. We have had quite the engagement in the last hour. Noah Espinosa said, yo, that Christmas Nutcracker intro was straight up banger. Agreed.
Banger.
Agreed. Noah, that was a banger. Our executive producer,
we don't
Jim
talk about it
Kovacic.
much, but
I was going to,
yeah,
but
I'm going to cut
interrupted
you
me.
off because I've had too much sugar.
I was going to say, as I'll continue with my sentence, our executive producer, Jim Kovacic, is an extremely talented musician, and he is the mastermind behind all of the music. So,
wow, nice.
Thought it was a conversation, not a monologue. I'll just sit here.
A conversation, you actually have to finish your sentence, Ernie, and then the other person can start.
Okay.
Just so you know. But we did have the weather up on our YouTube. Frank, what are we looking at this weekend?
What? It was a cool morning.
It was chilly.
And it's going to be a little cool this afternoon. So if you have, look at that sky. There's not a cloud in that sky. If you can see us on YouTube, then you're looking at that beautiful skyline. It's just gorgeous. The air is very dry, and that's been easy to cool down. It's also going to be easy to warm up. So as we go into the weekend, which winter starts officially on Sunday, we're going to see warm weather all the way through Christmas, like highs of 80 on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
So winter weather, warm weather just as winter is starting.
Yes. It's not Santa Claus, it's Santa Claus.
Like the way Ernie likes to sleep. In a sauna.
In a
at
sauna.
night. Yes.
You would think I would like it really cold because of all of my wanting things cold all the time.
Yes.
But also in my car, it's freezing cold. People always get in my car and like, why is this so cold in here? I'm like, always have the AC. It's cold, cold, cold. Except in my house.
You're a thermal mystery.
I have a lot of things wrong with me. I will start with that. I see people think that, Ernie got in trouble. Somebody wrote on there. No, I think we are actually in that mindset of the holidays. It's that point where it's so close, and yet you've still got some things you got to finish. And so it just makes it harder to focus and harder to behave in my case. I've been all over the
Ernie,
newsroom today.
behave.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yes, no.
But there's a lot we're going to be looking at in today's show. You know, we haven't talked about this, but Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It was a very famous show, both off-Broadway and on-Broadway. It was turned into a movie. It was from John Cameron Mitchell. He went on to do a whole bunch of stuff. He is bringing it here to Houston. We're going to talk about that in our last-minute plans. And he is going to do a live director commentary while he shows the film. And so later in the show, we're going to chat with John Cameron Mitchell just a little
Interesting plot.
Mm-hmm. It is a very interesting plot. For those of you who know the story of Hedwig, we want to talk more, and he said he'll come back and we'll be able to do a more deep dive into his work. But it's interesting because the themes and the issues he was dealing with when he wrote Hedwig back in the 90s, how prescient it is, how it's still issues we deal with today when it comes to a lot of the issues he was addressing in that work. And so it's going to be kind of fun.
I look forward to that. And then in about 20 minutes, you're going to talk to Rob Reiner from your 2010 interview.
Yeah, we're going to remember a conversation I had with Rob Reiner, and so we're going to play a portion of that. And it's hard to listen to in the regard knowing that he is no longer with us and how we lost him, but it also is refreshing to hear who he was and how he felt and what he believed in.
Amazing man. And her too, Michele, has sort of gotten lost a little bit because so much has been about Rob Reiner. But, I mean, behind him was an amazing woman.
Yes, Michele
Reiner.
And they met, if I'm not mistaken, on When Harry Met Sally.
On set, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was she's 10 years his junior. They had 3 beautiful children together.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, he changed the ending of When Harry Met Sally because of his relationship with her.
behind every man, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But
you agree with that?
Well, I'm looking. Yes, absolutely. I'm agreeing.
See, I'm not the only one who's lost
I
it
find
today.
this next story really interesting. So take it away.
Thank you, Frank. President Trump signed an executive order directing federal agencies to reclassify marijuana from the most restrictive Schedule I substance category to Schedule III. While that won't legalize weed or make it available for recreational use, as some states have, it will make it easier to use it in medical research. The change is also profitable to the cannabis industry and will likely significantly reduce taxes for cannabis companies. It could also open the door for them to access banks and investments that they couldn't before due to compliance concerns. Additionally, the order calls for more research into CBD, which could now, in some cases, be covered by Medicare. What are your thoughts on the president easing back on marijuana? Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston, 713-440-8870.
This may seem like a weird segue, but Celeste, what is today's date?
Today is 12/19, December 19th, 2025.
Which is also the day that the Epstein files are supposed to totally be turned over. Why
We're
do I
talking about
say
everything
that?
but.
Because that's the day he decides he's going to talk about marijuana. So is this a distraction or is this something? Because he didn't decriminalize marijuana.
No, but it was in the same category as heroin and LSD. Yeah. And now it's more in the category of ketamine and testosterone,
right.
Which means it can be illegal. But I think this has to do a lot with the taxes and the way that this has been taxed when companies have been trying to produce it for medicinal purposes. And now they will have a better opportunity to do that because they can get rent and breaks on their taxes that they weren't able to get. So that it will help with that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because you have how many tens of thousands of people who are in jail because of Schedule I marijuana illegal activity.
Right.
And now it's being decriminalized or declassified. So is it being decriminalized? And should those people be allowed to have at least their trials reheard, if not just be let out of jail completely? I mean, you don't go to jail for testosterone,
right?
You know.
But I think if there's a legal expert listening and wants to pipe in on this, give us a call at 713-440-8870. The punishment is to the crime you break at the time you break the crime.
Well, true.
Now, can you have a rehearing or resentencing with new guidelines? Yes, but I don't think automatically people then have it.
In a lot of states, it's completely legal.
Right.
So, I mean, go to Colorado, you go into, it looks like a Cartier display case.
Yes.
I mean, it's very fancy. So,
not that I've ever been, but yes.
Well, I have to go. I'm a journalist. Of course I'm going to go. And so, you would think that if you are convicted of this in Colorado, it might be that you would be exonerated simply because what you did no longer is illegal.
Right.
So how are you still being punished for something that is no longer illegal, even if you did break the law at the time?
But again, 713-440-8870. What are your thoughts on the president easing back on marijuana?
Want to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all you have to say about that?
Well, I'm waiting to find out more. I understand that Trump was going to address the nation again today, and I thought it was at 1 o'clock, but it may have been 1 o'clock Eastern time, so it was at noon today. I'm just trying to find out, did he address and what was the topic he was going to talk about? There was a lot of speculation.
Well, and there was this comment this morning that we are not out of the woods on the possibility of war with Venezuela. So, but I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know what he's going to talk about. But the Epstein files, you're right. I think there's a lot of distraction from that because Trump doesn't want this to happen.
I will also tell you USA Today is reporting that the Justice Department will not meet the Friday deadline, today's deadline for the Epstein files. The delay means the White House is in apparent conflict with the law President Trump signed in November. Interesting.
So he said we'll do it, but now we won't.
Well, he said we'll do it, and now they're saying we haven't had enough time to get it all together.
Oh, sure.
So we'll see what that goes to. A little closer to home, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and his wife, State Senator Angela Paxton, have agreed to unseal their divorce case following requests from a group of media organizations. In an order signed by Paxton's attorneys, the couple agreed that the court may restore full public access to the case file. A judge must still approve the order, and a hearing is scheduled for, it was supposed to happen today. Angela Paxton filed for divorce in July, citing adultery. Shortly afterwards, she asked that the records be sealed. A previous judge agreed, and Ken Paxton supported that decision, arguing that the media was unfairly intruding into his personal life. 8 media organizations, including the Texas Newsroom, along with the nonprofit Campaign for Accountability, asked the court to unseal the records. They argue the documents should be public because Paxton is an elected official currently running for office who has faced repeated allegations of corruption. What do you think about the files going public? Are you going to check them out? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Yes.
Well, and if they go public over the Christmas holiday, they'll have less impact. It's all that the rule has always been: if you don't want to make news, release your press release on Friday. Mm-hmm. It'll be forgotten by Monday. So I think if you start releasing something like this over the holiday, then you're hoping that by the time we get to January 5th, people that wanted to know about it, and everybody else doesn't care. Mm-hmm. And has moved on. So that's probably, the timing is probably somewhat to that. On the other hand, the Freedom of Information Act, I think these were going to be released anyway, but because of all of these organizations that have petitioned for it and their basis, I suspect Paxton said they have pretty good basis for getting it. So I might as well be up front and say, okay, let them see.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole story.
All it's going to say is what we already know.
Right. I don't know if I'm becoming an old fuddy-dud or if I just don't want to be toiling in the dirt anymore, but I really don't care why they're getting a divorce. I care more about corruption in office. I care more about bribery. I care more about things that are done that affect a person's ability to do their job. If somebody had an affair and it's the dissolution of a marriage. So I don't.
What if they use your tax money to have the affair?
Well, then that's something different. Then that is corruption.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. Corruption, I'm okay with learning about. But if it's just toiling in people's misery, I don't need.
I don't think this is toiling in their misery. I think it's to the corruption.
I think the line of thought here is if somebody cannot be honest with the people that they love, why would they be honest with anybody else? And so, as an elected official, if he can't be honest with his wife and his kids and to his family, then why would he be honest to his voters?
If you're going to start eliminating anybody who's had an affair from being able to hold public office, we're not going to have many people holding public office.
I don't disagree with you in that regard. I just think that nobody is above the law. If usually divorce files are made public and it's out there, then it needs to be done equally.
Though, and to kind of follow even further than what you're saying, there was a big push by Paxton and his whole contingent on the 10 Commandments and thou shalt not commit adultery. That's one of the laws. They want to put it in every school. They want to hold everyone accountable. You should be
but he could
prosecuted.
argue that the kids need to know that because I committed that sin and I'm actually trying to help children not make the same mistake that I made.
Release the Paxton files.
That was a good one, Celeste.
Or wait 2 weeks and then do it, right?
Yeah, we had somebody talking about with the Epstein files over on YouTube said now the Epstein files are going to be released in, you guessed it, 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks is a catch-all for our current administration.
Text saying it'll be interesting if Paxton changes his thoughts on hemp and marijuana after what Trump has said. That's from Chad.
Well,
we'll
give us your thoughts. 713-440-8870. I am moving us along because there are some days we must speak of. And if you are watching on YouTube, you know I'm celebrating one right now. It is National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day.
Well, I don't think your sweater's ugly at all.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I would wear your sweater.
It's a bit much, and it's got some little moth holes in it because it's like 30-something years old, but I pull it out once a year, and I wear it, holes and all.
Yeah,
Celeste says
good.
I should have it rewoven in those
I do.
spots.
I love it. You know, nowadays, that type sweater, like young kids in high school would want to wear that with jean shorts and Doc Martens.
Kind of like me, a young kid.
I think it's very cool, Ernie.
Well,
don't
thank
even know
you.
it.
Thank you. It's also Hard Candy Day. So you could have a Hard Candy Christmas.
I one time almost choked on one of those strawberry hard candies.
Oh.
And as an adult, and I remember
Because you were talking
I
at
was
the same
talking
time. If I know you,
And I inhaled and it went and it got stuck and it scared me so much that to this day I see hard candy. I'm like, no, thank you. And if my kids, it's triggering to me. I'm not joking.
You know
It was
what?
that
I
scary.
almost choked on prosciutto. You know, prosciutto is like that Italian ham.
Yeah.
It's very thin and it's
It can
very
be
fatty.
stringy. Yes.
It is stringy.
Yeah.
And I put one of those in my mouth and I'm chewing it and chewing and chewing. Finally, I just decided to swallow it and it didn't go down.
It didn't go down.
And I had to reach back. Anyway, I got it out, but it was ugly.
But do you still eat
And no more prosciutto for me.
It
Well,
is.
I still wear ugly sweaters and I still eat hard candy. And, when we were kids, we had a neighbor who always had the old-fashioned candy mix, those.
Yes.
And it would always sit in her candy dish and it would all become like one giant piece. And I would chip at that to get a piece of candy. I loved that. And then somebody told she puts it in a box and brings it out every Christmas and just puts it out again. I'm like, oh, what have I been eating? But I do love that. Those are my holidays.
It's like a fruitcake. Does anybody here eat fruitcake?
Okay, I
you
like
do?
a good fruit cake,
Oh,
but
God,
I don't
of
like
course.
all that. I do. I like it when it has a lot of nuts in it.
See, I like nuts. I like nuts in my bread. I like that crunch that comes. I like nuts in my cookies.
She married a Sherman, right? That German, it's fruitcake. It just reminds me of something Germans would eat a lot. It's just, I don't know why. I have no idea where it's from, but it just sounds German.
Yes, my mother-in-law actually makes the best poppy seed bread every Christmas.
I like that. I like pumpkin bread.
Delicious.
I like banana nut bread. I like most breads.
So shout out to Sherry Sherman for the best poppy seed bread.
All right, I know we're almost out of time, so I shouldn't bring this up because I'm sure people have reactions to it. But the board of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts voted to rename the venue Trump Kennedy Center, though it's unclear whether the name can be changed without an act of Congress.
It can't. It's illegal. It's like changing the Lincoln Memorial to the Trump Lincoln Memorial. And
Don't put it
Trump
out there.
Washington Monument. I know.
Well, anyway, there you go.
The University of Trump Houston.
Those are my tidbits for the day.
Coming up on Hello Houston, in the wake of the tragic death of actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife, we're going to pay tribute to his legacy with Ernie's interview with Rob Reiner from 2010. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner Ellen and I have been proud supporters of public radio and TV for decades.
We really would be lost without our daily fix of unbiased national and local news, cultural programming, and great entertainment.
But with recent federal defunding, stations like Houston Public Media face real challenges.
Now's the time to step up.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Thank you.
On the next Science Friday, exploring the world of backyard birds, including a cardinal that will haunt your nightmares.
I mean, when would be the prime time to find these freaky little baldies?
It's the Christmas bird count. That's on Science Friday from WNYC Studios.
You can hear Science Friday. It's coming up at 1 o'clock.
Imagine two friends getting together.
So what's happening in Congress?
Well, this is something that is going to be tough to defend in an election year. And that's assuming it even passes, which it might not.
Imagine you could listen in.
And then what about the Senate? The bills are just rocketing out of the chamber.
Have they gone too far? The House might say, well, wait a minute.
Well, you can. Party Politics with Brandon Rottinghouse and Geronimo Cortina. Fridays at 7:30 p.m. on News 88.7, at 8 on TV8, and on your favorite podcast platforms.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manouse, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
This week began with horrific news that famed actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michele had been murdered in their Brentwood, California home. An unthinkable crime only made worse when their middle child, Nick, was charged with the murders. Outside of a crass posting on social media by President Trump, our country mourned the loss of this national treasure. Reiner was not only a political activist working toward equal rights for all, he was also an award-winning actor and filmmaker, having starred on the landmark series All in the Family, and as a director, he gave us the films of a generation, from Stand By Me to When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and even The Princess Bride. Back in 2010, 15 years ago, he had just released his film Flipped, and I had an opportunity to sit down with him and have a conversation. Here is part of that discussion.
Carl. And so, basically I wanted to be him. So I've always wanted to do that. And even when I was young, although I started out as an actor, I always wanted to direct.
There's a very small exclusive group of those of you that came from extremely successful parents in this business and then went on to be very successful yourselves. Why do you think that is?
I think if you have a father or a mother who is really successful on a very visible level, it's very hard to live up to. I mean, I've had this conversation with Michael Douglas. I mean, when we made American President, and even before that, we're basically in a club of, 3 or 4. There's not many. I mean, you look at Jane Fonda, who was Henry Fonda's daughter, and maybe Liza Minnelli, who was Judy Garland's daughter. There aren't many, there are certainly fathers and sons, I mean, the Bridges, but parents who achieved at a very, very high level, like Kirk Douglas or my dad in television and certainly in, directing movies, it's very hard to live up to. And, you can count them on one hand.
Yeah. Why do you think you're drawn then to stay in that business as opposed to saying, I can be me over here?
It's just that it's something in you that you want to do. Like I say, I love my dad. I looked up to him so much, and I still love him. And he is a guiding influence, and I can hear him as we're talking. I hear his voice coming out of me. It's just something that's in you. I think that I have a sister and a brother who are in show business, but for me it was something that drove me.
Yeah. When you went off to do All in the Family, at that point, was it rebellion in some way? The character, the show, to what your father had done? How did you...
Well, All in the Family to me was like an extraordinary opportunity to act in material that had never before been seen on television. That was the driving desire for me. I mean, we thought that show was never going to go. I mean, it's way too edgy and hip for the room and all of that, and it'll be on for 13 weeks. It'll be off. But just the idea of being on something where the writing was of that quality, and also the character was very similar to my my personality and my political views at the time. Certainly, I was, a crazy liberal at the time. I'm a little more subdued, moderate liberal now. As we get older, the edges get cut off a little bit. But No, I related to that character. It was not any kind of rejection of my father or anything. It was just, a real chance to do something great.
Yeah. How early on in that process did you realize you were in something important?
Well, we knew it was something important when we first started, even before it went on the air. Like I said, we didn't think it was going to be successful, but we knew it was special. We knew this writing and the subject matter was way beyond anything that had been done on television. But we knew when we were successful and the audience was accepting it was the second 13 weeks. The first 13 went on, and then they reran that 13 over the summer, the same episodes, and that's when the audience latched onto it. And then we knew, because we'd go out in public and people would go crazy. I remember one time going into an airport with Sally Struthers and Gene Stapleton. We walked into there was a restaurant area in the airport, and people stood up and started cheering. And so I said, I think we're on to something here. We could be a hit.
Yeah, you talk all the time about Meathead. You'll always be referred to as Meathead. I almost think that maybe that time has passed now. I think that there's a lot of this generation that has no idea who you were besides the director of these great films.
Well, that may be true. I do get meatheaded almost on a daily basis, though, still. And I used to make the joke all the time that no matter what I do, even if I win the Nobel Prize, it'll say, Meathead wins Nobel. But you might be right. I mean, certainly the younger kids don't know it as much, although it does play on TV Land and Nick at Night and all of that, and so younger generations do pick up on the show. But I don't look anything like I do. My daughter, who's 12 years old, has not seen the show, has never seen All in the Family.
Before we leave too much of the TV era, I want to...
And that is part of the interview that I had with Rob Reiner, talking about his television career back with All in the Family, and how so many people came to know him as Meathead Mike Stivic on All in the Family. And it's interesting because it was such a politically motivating show at the time. So,
sure.
It's interesting, Ernie, though, right at the top of this interview, he talks about wanting to change his name. And that story is fascinating. There. Tell us about that, Ernie, because you were telling me the story.
We were talking about how when you're a member of a very famous family and the burden that puts on you. And I wanted that clip to play in its entirety because of, as we know what happened now, that there are certain stressors that come with being that way. And he was talking about his father, Rob Reiner, who had created and wrote, Carl Reiner, who created and wrote The Dick Van Dyke Show. And he was 8 years old, I think it was, and he went to his dad, Rob Reiner did, and said, I'm thinking of changing my name. And Carl Reiner was like, oh my God, the pressure is so much. Rob wants to change his name. So he said to him, well, what do you want to change your name to? And he said, Carl, because he wanted to be like his dad. And so it was the total opposite part. We have a little bit more of the interview that we want to play for you right now. So this, again, is a 2010 conversation with director Rob Reiner.
Take me back when it all started for you. What was it you wanted to do in this business? Where did you begin?
Well, I did want to direct. I always wanted to direct. I watched my dad growing up, and I admired him so much. I looked up to him. He was like a god to me. And he tells this story when I was 8 years old. I came up to him and I said, Dad, I want to change my name. And he thought, oh my God, this poor kid, he's the burden of having to be Carl Reiner's son. And he said, what do you want to change your name to? And I said, Carl. And so, basically I wanted to be him. So I've always wanted to do that. And even when I was young, although I started out as an actor, I always wanted to direct.
There's a very small exclusive group of those of you that came from extremely successful parents in this business and then went on to be very successful yourselves. Why do you think that is?
I think if you have a father or mother who is really successful on a very visible level, it's very hard to live up to. I mean, I've had this conversation with Michael Douglas. I mean, when we made American President, and even before that, we're basically in a club of 3 or 4. There's not many. I mean, you look at Jane Fonda, who was Henry Fonda's daughter, and maybe Liza Minnelli, who was Judy Garland's daughter. There aren't many, there are certainly fathers and sons, I mean, the Bridges, but parents who achieved at a very, very high level, like Kirk Douglas or my dad in television and certainly in, directing movies. it's very hard to live up to. And, you can count them on one hand.
Yeah. Why do you think you're drawn then to stay in that business as opposed to saying, I can be me over here?
It's just that it's something in you that you want to do. Like I say, I love my dad. I looked up to him so much, and I still love him. And he is a guiding influence, and I can hear him as we're talking. I hear his voice coming out of me. It's just something that's in you. I think that I have a sister and a brother who are in show business, but for me it was something that drove me.
Yeah. When you went off to do All in the Family, at that point, was it rebellion in some way? The character, the show, to what your father had done? How did you?
Well, All in the Family to me was like an extraordinary opportunity to act in material that had never before been seen on television. That was the driving desire for me. I mean, we thought that show was never going to go. I mean, it's way too edgy and hip for the room and all of that, and it'll be on for 13 weeks. It'll be off. But just the idea of being on something where the writing was of that quality, and also the character was very similar to my my personality and my political views at the time. Certainly, I was, a crazy liberal at the time. I'm a little more subdued, moderate liberal now. As we get older, the edges get cut off a little bit. But no, I related to that character. It was not any kind of rejection of my father or anything. It was just a real chance to do something great.
Yeah. How early on in that the atmosphere on the set to allow people to be creative? It's such a delicate, sensitive area. Yeah, and so often you see directors who are yelling and demanding and all that. What do you do on a set to make sure you're going to get the best from each person you work with?
Well, I try to create a very nice atmosphere, a relaxed atmosphere that it's like, so the kids can play in the sandbox. You don't want bullies. You don't want people pushing people around. You want to provide a play area where everybody can feel comfortable to play, and that's what I try to do. I say to people that you will remember the experience you have making a film long after you'll remember the film. I mean, the actors will. The audience remembers the film because that's what they see. Right. But the people making the film have the experience, and I want that experience to be good for everybody because you wake up in the morning and you come to work, and this is the time on the planet for you. You're experiencing your time, in the process. So you want that to be good. You want to be able to come to work and go, hey, that guy's here today. Hey, I get to see him today. And so that's what I try to create, an atmosphere where everybody can relax and enjoy themselves.
I also read somewhere that you like to keep work is work and home is home. And when you're at work, you're working. And when you're at home, you're living your life.
Yeah, I try to do that, and I think I've been pretty successful with that. I don't try to work long hours. I mean, the most I'll ever work is a 10-hour day. Most of the time, it's not even that long. And I want to give the crew and the cast time to finish their work and go home and be with their families. Because to me, it makes the work better. The work becomes better if you have time, and I want to have time with my family. So when you finish your work, you go home and enjoy your family, because that's, I remember something years ago. John Wooden, who just passed away, was a great coach for UCLA Bruins, and he said, when you play the game, play your hardest. And if you win, in the locker room, feel great about the win. If you lose, you can feel bad about the loss. But when you leave the locker room, that game is done. Now you're with your friends, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your kids, and now it's time to be with them. There's no more basketball now. And I've always thought that was the right thing.
Yeah. Looking back at your body of work, are there films that surprise you that were hits, and films that surprised you that weren't? And what would those be?
Well, the film that surprised me that was a hit was Stand By Me, because It was a film with four unknown, 13-year-old boys, 12, 13-year-old boys, and I was surprised that it was as successful as it was. The film that, I don't know. I mean, you never know what films are going to be a hit and what's not going to be a hit. I think The American President, which was one of the best films I've made, I thought it would do better than it. I mean, it was successful, and it did, it made money and did well, but I thought it would do better. And then in hindsight, I realized it's a liberal point of view. I mean, there's no question about it. And I think a lot of people who are conservative just said, hey, I don't believe in gun control and, those environmental controls and all of those things. So I think we probably cut off part of the audience by doing that in hindsight. But I wouldn't have made it any differently.
So true or false, you were considering a run for governor?
I considered it for a minute.
How was that minute?
Well, I considered it for a minute, and then I sat down with my family, and I polled 40% in my own. I basically couldn't carry my own family. And I realized if I couldn't carry my own family, I probably shouldn't run.
Rob Reiner from a conversation with Ernie back in 2010. You can find the full interview on YouTube. Simply look for InnerVIEWS with Ernie Manouse. And again, Rob Reiner. And we have a call from Sophia from Southwest Houston who would like to comment. Welcome to Hello Houston, Sophia.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I just want to say thank you for having this, for showing what a mensch Rob Reiner was, and now he lived his life in all the spectrum of his life, all the sectors, every bit of his life. He lived his life to do the right thing, the honest thing, and the best thing for the people. And I'm reaching for it, so I'll say goodbye.
Sophia, thank you for the kind words. It was a little hard to hear. We had a little trouble with your call there, but I appreciate that. And yes, you said what a mensch. He truly was. And I think what comes from that conversation, too, is you can see his love of his family, his concern for other people's families, his even talking about his work ethic, making sure that there was a work-life balance and that the people that he worked with also had that opportunity to have a life.
I know you can't speak for him, Ernie, but his films had a certain genre. Kids who were best friends, people who fell in love, fantasy love. He didn't do the Die Hard films and the Independence Day aliens coming back. Why do you think that he stuck with that genre throughout his career?
Well, it's funny you say that. In the interview, there is a part. We had a little trouble with our playback there, so if you heard some things repeated and you missed other things, you can find the whole interview, as Celeste just mentioned, on YouTube. We had a piece in there where he talked about, in the movie he was talking about at that time, Flipped, that there was a scene where the little girl in the film rides her bike to her house and jumps off her bike and lets it fall. And he's like, for me, that was an action sequence. And he said, because he told human stories. Yeah. It wasn't about the special effects. And he talked about there are other directors who do that brilliantly, and that's their stock in trade. He tells human stories.
Ernie, you spent quite an interview with him. I mean, you had some time with him during that time to really sit with him. Was there anything else that stood out to you in that interview about Rob Reiner?
One part that we talked about that's also in the full interview is that he lived a very different life, you would think, than we did. He had a famous father. He grew up in Hollywood. He had famous friends. He knew these other kids of famous people. He went on to be very early in his career in a hugely, phenomenally successful television series. He went on and had films. He lived in a very different world than the average person. And yet the films and the stories he told resonated with individuals, normal, everyday people, the experiences all of us live through.
And he didn't grow up that way.
Right.
It's one thing to grow up in a kind of a normal household and become famous. He grew up in a,
but he
Dick
said
Van
his
Dyke.
father made sure they lived maybe upper middle class, but a middle class existence. They never felt the trappings of that. That it was about family. It was about unity. It was about friendship. And he thinks that helped ground him in the kinds of stories he told. They are human stories. And I think that's why they resonate. I think that's why they still are played today. People still watch Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
And we have been receiving quite a few YouTube comments from Cosme713. Ernie is a great interviewer, and my British computer guy says Stand By Me, such a great movie.
Yeah.
Shirt Systems Sussas Training says Ernie Manouse Walters, just don't make him cry. Yeah, that's really interesting. And Ernie, throughout your career, you have interviewed not just Rob Reiner, but you have interviewed quite a few major directors and celebrities.
Well, it's funny you read that last comment about just don't make them cry. I had the chance, I think we mentioned this a while back at Halloween time, that I interviewed Gene Wilder.
Yes.
And I made him cry. Not intentionally made him cry. We were talking about love of his life, and he was talking about his current wife. And we did these interviews live to tape in the moment. So when you see the Rob Reiner interview, it's not edited. It's not pieced together. We were together for that 30-minute taping period, and that's what you see. So you really get a true spirit of the person. And with Gene Wilder, he was talking about the love of his life, and he started to tear up. But my director is telling me we're out of time. And so Rob Reiner's like, and I love her. And all of a sudden you see him, or not Robert, Gene Wilder. And I have to come back with, well, thank you for all the laughter you've given us. And they cut to him and he's sitting there crying.
I don't have a box of tissues for you.
Oh, my gosh.
And you forgot all those YouTube comments about how young
Ernie looked.
Well, he was. It was 2010, 15 years ago.
How young Ernie is.
The joke was, somebody wrote in here, is that Ernie? And I joked with my cohorts here, no, that's Rob Reiner. I know we look very similar now. But back then I didn't quite look like him. But now I look a little bit more.
Or that's Ernie's younger brother, Ernie Manouse. That was what our executive producers said. But again, you can find the full interview of Rob Reiner and Ernie Manouse by simply going to YouTube and look for InnerVIEWS with Ernie Manouse, Rob Reiner. Coming up, a visit from actor, performer, creator John Cameron Mitchell. And we share our last-minute plans as we head into the final weekend before Christmas. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
I'm Christopher Kimball, and this is Milk Street Radio. This week, it's our holiday show. We learn about a Welsh tradition that involves
horses' skulls, toffee making, strange Celtic folklore.
We also visit Belgium for waffles and answer your baking questions. That's coming up this week on Milk Street Radio from PRX.
It's on Sunday afternoon at 1.
On the next Living on Earth, we celebrate the winter solstice with stories and music to uplift our spirits and ground us in the cycles of our planet.
If you decide to use yourself as Stonehenge, your dwelling, you've kind of integrated yourself more with the movement of the sun and with this older sensibility.
I'm Steve Kerwood. Join us next time on Living on Earth from PRX.
Listen Saturday night at 10 o'clock.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support comes from Discovery Green Conservancy, presenting Houston's outdoor ice skating rink, offering a wintertime experience for all, surrounded by public art and downtown views. Open through February 16th. More at discoverygreen.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manouse, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Well, we've reached the end of the week here on Hello Houston, and that means last-minute plans. But today we start off with an event coming to Houston at the end of the month.
That's right. On Sunday, December 28th, Art House Houston is hosting an exciting event, a screening of the award-winning film Hedwig and the Angry Inch. But that's just the beginning. At the screening, writer, director, star of the film, John Cameron Mitchell, will be in attendance to share a live commentary as well as watch the film. And that precedes an afternoon master class free of charge in storytelling led by Mitchell. And then following the film, Mitchell will also appear in concert. All of it takes place here in Houston on December 28th. I had the opportunity yesterday to talk with John Cameron Mitchell on what you could expect. So, John, you're bringing Hedwig to Houston, the film, plus a master class, plus a concert. Talk to me about what folks can expect.
The master class is really just talking about how I work, what is useful, how to write, for different media, but also talking a little bit about how the last few years, a certain amount of political correctness has been the sort of left-leaning side of things, which is not great for art. The whole idea of, is this my story to tell, kind of leans you more towards autobiography as opposed to what the joy of fiction is, which is imagining yourself as someone you're not, and, realizing you have a lot in common. And that kind of political correct to the right, look what we got, and divided a lot of people by identity. I find identity to be a capitalist concept. Once you can decide someone identity, you can sell to it, and you can sell their identity to them, which is the same as genre in Hollywood. If you say it's a comedy, drama, action movie, then you sell to it. More complex than one thing. Our identity shifts every day. And I don't like limiting myself. I don't like labels. I like community. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But it's like, let us not separate ourselves by some kind of historical thing that we didn't necessarily have much to do with. Let's judge people on what they do. When you start judging people by their historical oppression, for example, you don't dignify their actual humanity as a person right in front of you. You start putting them in a box, which is, of course, what racists do. You're kind of imitating your oppressor when you start painting people with the same brush. So in my case, I'm talking about fiction, imagining characters that might have nothing to do with you physically. For example, Hedwig, that's not my story, but it is autobiographical emotionally. It's autobiographical to me in an emotional way, not in a fact-based way. So I'm, in this time when all news seems to be fake and everything's, when you have fascists telling you that facts aren't real unless they come from him, what we have left is stories. We have conspiracy theories, and we also have things like Hedwig that can maybe allow you to empathize with someone you're not. And so I'm talking about that in the masterclass. Then I'm bringing the film. I'm going to do a live commentary during the film, thought stories during it. And then a little short set with a local friend, Amber Martin. She grew up locally, who's coming in, and we're going to do we've been performing together for 20 years, and we'll be doing some stuff with a local guitarist as well.
Before doing these screenings with Hedwig, had you visited the film regularly, or was it kind of a surprise to go back and see it again?
Well, I've visited my 20th college, I think, last week. And part of that is screenings of my films, Short Bus and Hedwig especially. So, yeah, I've done things like this before, for sure. I don't necessarily need to watch it again, but with the commentary, it gives me something to do. And I sort of invented the drunk director's live commentary. And it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. What do you find surprising about the film's endurance today?
That it has endured. I guess when you're making something outside of the system, we made it in a way you might think of as punk, in that it wasn't commercial in any way. There was no way Hedwig could be on Broadway. There was no way it would be up for an Oscar. And in fact, it clung to life on stage and film. And it was only through word of mouth, through DVD, through regional productions that people really found out about it. But when when it's word of mouth, when it's one person at a time telling another person to go see it, then it tends to be very strong. The people who are into it are very into it. And there's an old dictum, I'd rather be 10 people's favorite thing in the world than 100 people's so-so thing.
Yeah. John Cameron Mitchell presents Hedwig and the Angry Inch Sunday, December 28th, right here in Houston at both Cafe Brazil and Numbers. For more information, visit arthouse.org. househtx.org.
Now, with this weekend being the last weekend before Christmas, we have some last-minute holiday plans for you.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
What are you doing?
Tonight what we're going to do is I love to make eggnog. Regular for the kids, spiked,
Bourbon?
for the adults.
Open a carton, or do you actually make eggnog?
Dan will actually make eggnog.
Oh, wait, Dan suddenly got in the story. A minute ago, I heard Celeste likes to make eggnog.
And tonight, Evelyn and I will go to an ornament exchange with some of our friends, and then we will, obviously, not everybody will be drinking, but we'll head to River Oaks and we'll do the lights with Christmas carols. And
the traffic.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're sitting there, it's just...
Are you doing it in a bus, or are you doing it driving through yourselves?
We do it driving with a group. Yeah, it'll be very fun.
It'll be so much fun. And it's beautiful. If you haven't been through River Oaks and seen their light displays.
They do a great job. Last year I did a segment for On Houston Matters about the River Oaks displays. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed residents in the area, and it was very split. And it was very interesting how I would say I probably interviewed about 4 different families that live in the area. It was right down the middle. 2 that just loved it. They thought it was amazing.
Loved all the traffic. They loved all the cars.
Well, they loved what it brought to the city. They loved, the community. They loved their neighborhood being on display for free for everyone. Yeah. And then the other 2 did not like the traffic and did not felt that security reasons and on and on and on.
Well, if you have to go somewhere and an Uber cannot get to you for an hour.
Yeah.
So, you really have to plan if you live there. Yeah. Small problem to have, right?
Yeah.
I live in River Oaks and I can't get my Uber.
What are you doing, Frank? Doing anything holiday-y?
Oh, yes. Big Christmas party tonight.
Fun.
We're going to. And then on Sunday, a dinner party. Sunday night. In between, we're going to go down to Galveston and enjoy some holiday stuff down there.
Drive down an hour, come back.
No, we'll spend the night. We'll go down, spend the night, come back Sunday.
You know what else we're doing over the holidays? We're going to see White Christmas.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
Irving Berlin's White Christmas.
Yes, over at the Hobby Center. Tuts is doing it.
Perfect.
Yeah. What about you, Ernie? What do you have up?
You know what? I've got a quiet weekend, I'm hoping. We've talked a little bit, having a little trouble healthcare coverage for mom. So I'm on mom duty all weekend. So tonight it's going to be wrapping presents and watching movies on TV, and it'll be a lovely time just enjoying the holidays.
Excellent. And if you're looking for something to do when you have family and friends visiting, you want to get out of the house, Home Alone movie screening and quote along at Discovery Green. This is a free screening and a quote along for this beloved holiday classic. The screening will start at 7 p.m. Do you guys like Home Alone?
I love Home Alone.
I do too.
I didn't like the second one that much, but that's normal.
Yeah,
I like
it's hard
being
to
Home Alone.
to sequelize as brilliantly as you do in the first.
But that great actor Donald Trump is in the second one.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, staple in my childhood.
And a great historian. He writes plaques.
Yes, and the BLCK, or the Black Market at Night, East River, will be transformed into a high-energy celebration of Black-owned businesses and culture. Guests will be able to explore a curated lineup of clothing, art, skincare, books, candles. So if you need to get some gifts, this is the place where you want to be. The event will also feature live DJs, food trucks, and great music. Santa and Mrs. Claus will also be available for photos. So there you go.
And you got to stand clear in your house at night when everyone goes to bed, because I hear you got elves on the shelves moving around at night.
We have elves in our house, and they are the bane of my existence.
I hear a lot of parents. I'm old enough that was never part of my tradition.
Consider yourself lucky.
That's what I
had
hear.
those elves. They just sat on the tree.
Yes.
They
didn't move around.
They didn't
we
move
had
around.
lazy elves, Frank.
Well, our elves move around, and just the way I have 2 children, I have 2 elves that I have to watch.
We had the selfish elf.
Oh, that's funny.
Just sat there waiting for Christmas.
But you know what, guys?
What?
We're going to wait for Christmas.
Yeah, and that brings us to the end of the
our week
for Hello Houston. We want to thank you for watching, listening, and being part of the Hello Houston community. We will be back soon with more conversations. In the meantime, you can catch the best of Hello Houston Saturdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. right here on News 88.7. Have a great weekend and happy holidays, Houston.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
This service exists because of you. While you rely on local programs, NPR News